Hi, guys. Welcome to Soul Connections. I'm your host, Jo Labbé, here with Star Nations Radio Network, broadcasting through Be Life TV and in beautiful Facebook land. How are you guys doing tonight? We're having a little bit of that humidity today, and I'm not complaining about the heat. I just decided that I wasn't going to swelter my way through tonight's meditation. I was just going to be as cool as I could be and be all right with that, if that makes sense. We do this show every Wednesday, and it starts off with a lovely healing meditation where you get to connect with your spiritual team, your guides, your ancestors, and set the intention of what you want to move in your life. What's stuck? What would you like to bring in? What do you want to manifest? Because we all could use that kind of grounded time when we focus on just ourselves. And that's the cool thing about the show, is that you get to do the work that you're wanting to do. I hold space for the entire group and help clear any energy that I feel that is moving quickly and rapidly. And so you'll hear me making some little noises, and that's just letting you know that clearing is happening for the group as a whole, which is really cool. And if you know anybody that, could maybe use a little healing, or maybe would like to, get their business rolling, or would like some help with their relationship energetically, please like and share this broadcast, because that helps us get out there in Facebook land. And that way it can reach more people who maybe could use a little bit of TLC this evening, and even in the future, because it is, recorded as we're going through. So sometimes you listen to it after the fact, days, weeks, months later, because you will watch it and listen to it when it's ready for you. And after we do the healing meditation, I'm going to pull some cards with some divine messages. They come through channeled. So, sometimes what's on the card is a little bit different than the content that comes through, but it's the closest card that my team can find to connect with you. And tonight's deck, we've got a deck we've used before, but not in a while. It's the Sonia Choquette's Fool's Wisdom deck. And the Fool's Wisdom is very straightforward. That's what I like about her decks, is they're very easy for you to understand. And it allows more space for me to give a channeled message. For those of you who know the tarot deck really easily, you could see a card and you're going to make your own interpretation, and you may miss the message that's coming through. And really the oracle cards are just a tool to help transmit, maybe what guidance you might be needing this evening. So if you would like a card pulled for you, just type in "yes, please," and we will pull them in the order that I receive them in the production booth, which may be a little bit different than the feed that you see that you're connected to. They don't always sync up, but I have the lovely Neshi who is here as my producer, and she makes sure to get all of those things squared away. And there are times when people have, privately messaged me for cards because things are coming up. And so they're going to be in the list as well. So just hold tight, and I will pull all the cards for people who ask live. For those of you who ask afterwards, lately there's been so many card draws in the live show time that I just haven't had time to pull them for people afterwards. So it's an incentive for you to get here and watch it live, because then you have an opportunity to get a card drawn for you. I think that's most of the housekeeping, but no, it's not. The last little bit is, I know there are people who reach out because they want to work with me, either privately or in a group setting. And next weekend, I will be at Star Nations Academy in Tomo, Wisconsin, and we still have a little bit of space if you would like to join us. It's Friday evening, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. And it gives us a really in-depth look at how to awaken your soul's true potential. And that looks different for each person who comes, but there's always a group theme that shows up for the people who are ready to do some work, ready to make some movement in their life. So if you're feeling stuck, or feel like there's just something bigger that you are meant to do, or meant to be, well, then this class is really for you. And you can't get a weekend class with me. I just don't do them except for Star Nations Academy. So join us for that, because I would love to have you there with us in person. And for those of you who can't travel to Wisconsin, I am doing a shorter one-day workshop that is similar in terms of doing some of your soul's work. And that's here at Trinity Healing Sanctuary in Haydenville, Massachusetts on Saturday, June 22nd from 9 to 4. So if you can't get out to Wisconsin for the big leagues, you can always come visit us for, to get a little jump start on your soul's growth. So I hope you guys can join us. And so with that, I feel like we should probably get started. I'm just going to take a quick sip. All right. So we're going to start by getting ourselves nice and grounded. And to do that, I invite you to get comfortable wherever you're sitting or laying down, or even if you're walking, you want to make sure that just because you're walking doesn't mean you're grounded, right? So make sure that you are sending down your roots to connect with Grandmother Earth, your grounding cord. And when we send our connection down into the earth, remember we want to go all the way to the molten lava center so that we are really deeply connected, and so that the whole earth is holding us like our anchor. And for those of you who have difficulty grounding, you can also imagine a cord of connection going down from each of your chakras. So you can begin by connecting to your first chakra in your tailbone and inviting a red cord of connection to go down your legs, through your feet, and deep into the earth. You can ask your second chakra to create a cord of connection through your first chakra, through your hips and your legs, down your feet, through all the layers of the earth. And a cord of connection from your third chakra, through your second and your first, through your hips and legs, down through your feet, and all the way to the very center of the earth. And then from your heart chakra, your fourth chakra, to your third, your second, your first, through your hips, your legs, and your feet, all the way down to the center of the earth. And connecting to your throat chakra, your heart, your solar plexus, your second and your first chakras, through your hips, your legs, your feet, and down through the layers of the earth. Through your sixth chakra in your third eye, to your throat and your heart, your solar plexus, your second and your first chakras, down through your hips, your legs, and your feet. And finally, even connecting your crown chakra to your third eye, to your throat, to your heart, to your solar plexus, to the sacral, to the root, and all the way down through your hips, your legs, and your feet to the center of the earth. Now we're going to invite in the divine. However you connect with that, however you experience the divine, we're going to ask that energy to come in more fully in this moment. And we're going to ask the divine to surround and protect us in a bubble of infinite love and infinite light, creating a sacred space for us to work in this evening. And I welcome in your spiritual teams, your angels, your ancestors, your spiritual masters, the star beings, the mystical creatures, all divine, of the highest, fullest, and brightest vibration available to you and to me and our teams in this moment. And we set the intention, as always, that this healing meditation and these messages are for the good of all and harm to none, including ourselves. And so we're going to begin the healing by calling the divine energy to come in through our crown, connecting and opening any areas where we've been disconnected, especially through doubt, and bringing the energy into our third eye and really allowing space for our mind to quiet, our spinning thoughts to become rooted and grounded. And calling home all our energy that has distracted in other areas, other vibrations, other places. So if you have stretched your energy into the past, worrying about what has been, wishing that you could have done things differently, just gently bring your energy back to your breath and this moment right now. And if you have any energy that's stretched into the future in anxiety or worry about what will be, what could be, or that to-do list that you have and how to get everything done, just gently bring your attention and your focus back to your breath and back to this moment now. And invite all of your senses to expand and work together as a team. All 5 of your senses plus your intuition. And even connect to your intuitive sense in your higher self. And open the energy for clarity in your thinking, in your logic, in your intellect, allowing it to be rooted and grounded. And opening the ears so that you can hear your spiritual team and hear others fully comprehending the messages and so that you may be heard clearly as you ask for what you need and what you want. And beginning to open the throat and the back of the neck so that you can speak your authentic truth, express who you truly are, and really be able to say what you need to say with love and kindness whenever possible. And making space for others to be able to speak their truth as well with you. And opening communication in all vibrations and in all ways that you communicate, not just through speech. And in the back of the neck, releasing any additional stress or tension you've been holding there through words that have gone unspoken, emotions that you've held on to tightly. And gently allowing the energy in your shoulders to relax. Releasing all burdens and responsibilities that you've been carrying for yourself and for others. Knowing that they'll be there when the meditation is done. But in this moment, you do not need to hold that energy. There's no need to shoulder the responsibility for anyone but yourself in this moment. Moving into the lungs and really clearing space for more breath and more air to gently move through your lungs and through your entire energy system. Allowing the divine oxygen to flow freely and completely. And moving into the beautiful heart and allowing the blood to flow with the divine energy to all of your organs, your tissues, and gently restoring your bloodstream back into balance. And connecting to your spiritual heart and connecting with your inner child. Sending healing through the child. So that they have room to play and have joy and excitement. Releasing them from any trauma that they have been carrying for you. Releasing any fear that they may be holding on to in particular. Wrapping them in a cocoon of safe, loving, divine energy. And moving down to connect to your inner adult, the responsible one. Giving them a moment to breathe, to just be. And moving over and connecting to your inner warrior. And really giving them a moment of peace and tranquility. Gratitude for all the ways it has kept you safe throughout this and every lifetime. But at this moment, it can focus on peace and tranquility. And connecting to the inner sage elder, the wise one that you've carried with you in each and every lifetime, who carries the wisdom of the ages within you. And opening up the channels of communication so that you can have this magical guidance drop in whenever you need it. And really taking a moment to access gratitude within your heart, connecting to your high heart on a fuller and brighter frequency. Making room for grief and disappointment to gently begin to dissolve. Any old hurts, or even any shame that you have been carrying that has been weighing down your heart energy in any way. Giving room for the heart to breathe and expand in unconditional love. Even if you're not completely sure what that is. And moving down into the third chakra and beginning to release any energy connected to fear. Whether that fear shows up as anger or frustration, judgment or resentment. Anxiety, stress, overwhelm. And any ways that your self-esteem, your self-worth, or your self-confidence is squeezed or smaller than it is meant to be. Sending healing to all your digestive organs for all the work they do, releasing the toxins from your body and filling you with nutrients to support you. And moving down into the second chakra, releasing any cords of connection that you have to other people, other things that are not in balance, that are not in a giving and receiving rhythm, that feel negative or toxic, or that emotionally drain you. And opening your connection to your senses and your sensual being, experiencing your senses through your entire body, through your entire energy system, so that you can experience the sensations as your personal radar. And remembering that your sensual being is the part of you that creates the life you are living right now, creates the life that you would like to be living. Creates new ideas and paintings and music. For you use your entire being to create. So making sure that all the energy is flowing in each way possible, in each vibration and frequency that you are able to. And now using the hips and the root chakra to anchor all of this beautiful flowing energy, allowing it to take root, to become stable within you, moving equally down each leg so that your energy is grounded in the masculine and the feminine, as well as the physical and spiritual aspects of your life. Giving you room to feel safe and secure, grounded and supported. And as the energy continues to clear down your legs, really inviting any other places in your body where you feel discomfort or pain or tightness, inviting the divine energy to move to that spot and gently dissolve whatever it is you're holding on to, whatever energy is resisting, releasing for your highest best. Yep. And allowing all of that energy to go deep within the earth, to be composted into beautiful new creation energy, to love and support the earth and all that she does to nourish us, to provide us food and water and air to breathe. And now inviting Grandmother Earth and the Divine Feminine to send energy up from the earth to fill in all those places where we've released energy we're ready to let go of. making room for beautiful new creation energy as it begins to fill in our feet, our ankles, our calves, our shins and our knees, our thighs, through our hips and our pelvic floor. And really take a moment to fill your entire pelvic floor, like a giant bowl of energy for you to dip into when you need it. And allow it to move up your spine and through your organs. And as it begins to move into your rib cage, your lungs, and your heart, just make room for a little bit more energy to move into your heart, a little more space for you to hold love for yourself and for others. And then allowing it to connect even more fully, more completely with your high heart. And allowing the heart energy to gently flow down your shoulders, your arms, your elbows, all the way into your hands, so that your hands can hold the healing energy and vibration with everything that you touch. And then moving up through your throat, your jaw, your ears, your third eye, and those sinuses some of you are having trouble with, up to the top of your head, through your crown, and just allowing the energy to gently pour over you, pour over your aura in all of its layers, repairing, restoring any holes, any tears, any cracks that you might have in this personal bubble. Remembering that the aura is in front of you and behind you, on either side of you, above you and below you. And clearing through the physical and the emotional layers, the mental layers and the spiritual layers, as well as through karma and past lives. Yeah. And now taking a moment of gratitude and sending healing energy to Grandmother Earth for all that she does to love and support us. And sending healing to all the beings on the planet for the good of all and harm to none. And taking a moment of gratitude with your spiritual team for being here with you, for guiding you in your own healing and your own work. And when you're ready, you can begin to dissolve your meditation. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes, rub your feet on the floor, rub your hands together, whatever helps bring you back into the moment. Feel the strength of your grounding cord. All right. So I'm going to start pulling cards. And again, tonight's card deck is The Fool's Wisdom by Sonia Choquette. And these oracle cards are very, they're very interesting. For those of you who know the tarot, this is the fool's journey, right? Is the tarot's journey, right? The fool begins. And so these are the lessons, basically, that the fool learns along the journey. So as the fool goes through soul school, he accumulated some wisdom, and the cards are here to share the wisdom with us. What do we need to hear to help us this evening, to help us with what's going on right now or what's coming up? So I'm going to start with Julie Hedges. So Julie, your card is the Master Fool. And I love the play on words, like masterful. So the Master Fool's wisdom is let your intuition lead you. And so when this comes in, it's saying, you're working on life mastery. And part of life mastery is tuning into your own intuition, trusting what you're getting, and not looking outside of yourself for validation. And not that we don't sometimes want a second opinion, but again, when you do that, you need to be cautious of who are you asking that opinion from. Are you asking it from another master? Are you asking it from someone, that just to hear somebody speak, right? So this is about you really tapping in and really listening. And I know you have a really strong spiritual team, but just like all of us who are on this, journey as healers, sometimes it's hard for us to hear our own intuition. But you are a master. So start listening to your own intuition, listening to your own voice, and letting it guide you more fully. Stop doubting and second guessing yourself, sweetie. All right. So Rob is our next one. And so Rob, yours is the Play Fool. So the Play Fool is reminding you that play is really important. Have fun and be playful. We get really serious as grown-ups, right? And I love how a lot of the millennials, I don't know if I'm insulting anybody by calling them that, but there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm tired of adulting. You see it every so often, oh, I got to be doing this adulting thing, right? And those of us who are a little older than that, we didn't really have a choice, right? You had to step into adulthood. You had to become responsible. And lots of times we had to become super responsible when we were young children, almost like mini adults. And so our inner child is cranky. Our inner child needs fun. Our inner child needs play. So however you do that, it's time for you to do that. Playing your music, I'm sure, brings you some joy and some fun. But I'm even seeing things like pulling out a bunch of crayons and coloring and blowing bubbles and jumping rope, whatever your child loves to do. I love to swing on the swing set. So, sometimes I like to go and get on one of those and see how high I can go. And I definitely have a lot more fear than I used to. Maybe rightfully so. It would be a much harder fall than when I was a kid. But it's time for you to get out and play with your inner child, because they really could use, they're a little overwhelmed with all the serious grown-up stuff you've been doing, and need some time to play. All right. Julie, Shumway Hill. Nice. So you have the crazy fool, which is not a bad thing. So when the crazy fool comes up, the crazy fool is saying, get in touch with what you want and need and make it a priority. So what happens is when we get so busy taking care of everybody else, we don't take care of what we need. And that starts to make us crazy. We start to get cranky. We get resentful. And so, you know, my grandmother used to say it was crazy making, right? When you were doing a bunch of stuff that just wasn't in your alignment, you know, what you're doing is crazy making. And so that always meant to me, stop, drop, and pay attention. What do you need? What do you want? And focus on that. There are times when we over caretake other people to the point where we deplete ourselves. And trust me, I've done that recently. And it's not a fun thing when you finally realize it. You don't want the cosmic 2x4 of having to be sick or something like that. So drop everything and see how you can start making yourself a priority today. Okay. All right. Karen Kierstead. So you have the joy fool. So the joy fool is basically, it's time for you to bring some joy in. Start enjoying yourself. You know, what are you doing to enjoy yourself? You know, it's really easy, again, for us to get caught up in work and not have time to play. Notice how we're already having a theme here. It's time to bring joy back in. And when we're not having fun and we're not playing and we're not having joy and we're not laughing, then we're not really in our heart vibration. We're not really in the fullest connection that we can have with our own unique self. That's where all the joy comes in. So maybe that's, you know, I know you love to drum and to garden and to make your artwork and play with crystals. So what do you need to bring some joy back into your life, and do it? Take time this weekend to really focus on that, because then your magic energy returns in a big way. All right, Margaret. So you have the skill fool. So the skill fool is that, you know, it's all about, you know, you have the skills to do everything that you need to do. You have all the tools that you need. And sometimes we are perfectionists and, you know, we want to do it perfect. But really all that we're meant to do is to do our best. And our best is different in every given moment. So this is a little bit about, don't beat yourself up when it doesn't hold up to your high standards or someone else's high standards. You have the skills needed and you are going to do your best. And that's all that's ever needed. You don't have to justify it, is the word I'm hearing. Because you know what? Sometimes we're busy and we've only got so much time to get something accomplished. And so that's as good as it gets. And that doesn't mean that you're not good enough or that you don't know what you're doing. It just means that you know your boundaries and how much time you have to do things. So don't beat yourself up. Always do your best. And that's all that can ever be expected of you. All right. Anne. I think it's Anne. Okay. So Anne, your card is the breathless fool. And the breathless fool is when we get thinking in our brain and we stop breathing. So it's like, again, stop what you're doing, and start breathing. Because when our logic brain starts to get spinning on what to do and how to do it and when are we going to do it, and we start to shallow our breathing. And then we're only using the top portion of our lungs. We're not using the fullness of our lungs. And actually, when that happens, we don't have as much oxygen going to the brain. So when we don't have oxygen going to the brain, how clearly do you think you're thinking? So whenever you feel like you're getting caught up in a lot of thinking or a lot of, lists or anything like that, stop and just take a few deep breaths and just make some room for some clarity to come in. The breath is connected to clear thinking. And so that will help. And it'll also keep you from getting anxious, because we get anxious when our logic brain gets revved up and gets going. All right. All right, Marie. Oh, thank you for sharing. All right. So you have the Tear Fool as your card. And the Tear Fool is reminding you that it's not a bad thing to cry. Tears heal your soul. Tears allow you to express what you're truly feeling. And there are times when that can be just disappointment in the moment. We all have things where we get disappointed or we feel let down, and it's perfectly fine to cry. And that whole sensation of, tough it out, or, you can't cry at work or you can't cry in front of others. Well, that's a bunch of baloney. So this is saying that if you get moved to tears, let them flow, because that is part of who you are. You're extremely sensitive. You're extremely tuned in to the planet. And there are a lot of things that can hurt our heart about ways people treat other people or treat animals, and it can hurt us. And it's okay to let the tears flow, because that is who you are. All right. And that's a hard one for me too. So I'm going to listen to your card today too. All right, Jackie, good evening. Ah, nice. You have the Rest Fool. I like this one. He's sitting back, got his feet up. And the Rest Fool comes because it's time to take a break. You've been going, and you're probably wearing yourself a little bit thin. And I'll tell you, when you do that, you end up sick. It's not a good thing. So take a break, and don't be afraid to take a nap. I am very much an advocate. If your body is saying you need a nap, take one. Even if it's like 45 minutes or a half an hour to recharge your battery, that's your body just really telling you what you need. But I'm also feeling like you could need some time off, kind of get out in nature, away from your phone, away from others' expectations, so that, I feel like you stepping out in nature with like this giant do not disturb sign on you, so that nobody can kind of interrupt your peace and quiet. So find some time for that, sweetie. All right, Andrew. You got the Romantic Fool. You've got such a big heart, so I can see that. So the Romantic Fool has the wisdom of, you need to fall in love with yourself before you can fall in love with anyone else. And you hear it said all the time, and it is sometimes the hardest thing to do. So I'm feeling this energy of one thing that I have my students do is they have 6 weeks where once a week they need to create a date night with themselves. Nobody else can be invited. They have to do something special that they would love, to be done for them. Buy a card, buy a flower, make a lovely dinner, and whatever feels, watch a movie you want to watch, go to an art museum, whatever feels like a date to you, take yourself out on that date. Stop staying at home and feeling like, nobody loves me or I don't have anybody to hang out with. Well, when you get comfortable hanging out with yourself, then you start to feel comfortable doing that with other people. And I actually did this process a little while, like about 2 years ago. And because I really needed to fill myself up with self-love. Does that make sense? And there's a really good book by Sark that is called Succulent Wild Women. And I know you're a man, but it's really about how do you bring in a lush, loving energy to yourself so that you can be that with other people. Might be a good one for you. All right, Carol. Of course. Yours is the petty fool. And the petty fool comes in when we nitpick ourselves. You are perfect just the way you are. And, we can focus on the negative and be like, oh, I did this wrong, or I don't like my hair today, or, what's with this outfit? Or we can be focused on the positive and be like, I had a great day. I felt good. I enjoyed what I was wearing. I had fun with my friends. So it's like, we don't need to measure ourselves against other people. We're not meant to. We're supposed to be different. So cool, because we are. So instead of trying to find what's different, you're already different. So just be comfortable with who you are. And you might want to tell the inner critic to take a vacation. Take a hike. They're the one who gives us a hard time. All right, Pat. Howdy. Of course. You have the grace fool. So the grace fool, yes, it can be focused on being graceful. But what I'm feeling is for you is invite grace into your life. How can you bring grace into your life? And a lot of that comes from like a gratitude practice. It comes from being okay with how things are and allowing things to flow. Because the more we resist that, the more we stumble, right? And you don't have to be able to be like an acrobat anymore. You just need to be able to move through your life in a way that suits you. That's what grace is about. And when you need help, you call on your team and ask them to fill you up and remind you how to be filled with grace. All right. I like that one too. Emily, oh, thank you. All right, and I will pull one for Jackie as well. So let's start with you, Emily. So you got the ignorant fool. It's not a bad thing. You're not really a dunce in the corner. But the ignorant fool is that sometimes ignorance is bliss. you know, and that this card usually comes up when we're worried about somebody else. We're worried about what's going on. They don't seem okay. You know, we're poking our nose into their business, basically. And so there are times when it's none of our business. If they want to share what's going on, they'll tell you. So it's okay to not know. And it's okay to be like, well, I'll find out when I find out. And if I never find out, okay. But then it's not for you. So, yeah, don't poke your nose into anybody else's business, because you know how uncomfortable it is when somebody does with you. Does that make sense? So you treat others the way you want them to treat you, which is it's none of your business means it's none of your business. All right. And for your mom, Jackie. So you have the meaning fool. So the meaning fool is mean what you say and do what holds meaning for you. So this is about speaking your truth, mean what you say, right? So speak your truth. Don't try to pussyfoot around somebody else's feelings, right? It's sometimes you have to say things the way you need to say them. Say them as gently and kindly as you can, but there are times when we have to just bluntly say what we need to say. And when we do that, then we also need to follow through on being open-hearted and really doing things that are meaningful to us, right? So we're also taking action in a meaningful way. We're not just talking the talk, we're walking the walk, right? So when you are in your truth, then it's also you're being held to the standard of living your truth as well. Does that make sense? All right. And that's a tough one for all of us, especially, you know, there's a lot of liars out there at the moment. All right. Miss Minnie. Nice. You have the bounty fool. You most certainly do. I was seeing all those flowers you got recently. So the bounty fool is basically saying life is full for you, and it's all just about being in balance, staying in balance. And I think that's something that you do really well. And I really feel like now that you're in Colorado and your heart is really aligned with where you are now, not that it wasn't where it was, but it really has expanded into some beautiful joy, that all you have to do is keep your life in balance. Make sure that you're making time for you, making time for others, working with spirit, working with, you know, your family and things like that. It's just keeping everything in sync and in balance. And things feel very gentle for you right now. So enjoy the bounty. All right, Christine, of course. So you have the pain fool. And the pain fool is, it's basically time to face our pain. And generally this is not, you know, it can be a physical thing, like, you know, your knee's been hurting and swelling and you've been limping around and you don't want to go to the doctor and you're like, fine, I guess I better go to the doctor, take care of it now that you've done, you know, like tendon damage to it or something, because you didn't take care of it to begin with. This is also about what's hurting inside of you, what needs healing inside of you. And you've done a really good job of pretending it's not there or avoiding it or trying not to talk about it, but it's right at the surface and it's ready to heal. So I would encourage you, you know, to reach out to, your healer, to your therapist or counselor, or, good friends. But it's time to kind of own that there's something causing you pain and it feels emotional. And there's no need for you to continue to carry it around. So reach out to your team, reach out to who you connect with, and begin to face it and work through it, so that you can have a lighter and brighter life and energy right now. All right, Bobby. So you have the dutiful little soldier marching along. So the dutiful is, you have a lot of tasks. You had a lot of responsibilities, especially within your family unit. And we can take our tasks and our duties as chores and as burdens, or we can go at them from our heart space and be like, I'm going to face this with love. And that's where I'm at. So that when we do our activities from a place of love, it's really doesn't feel heavy, and we can kind of move through our tasks easily because they're not weighing us down. So find ways to bring joy and laughter into things that you have to do, to make them fun too, because then we move through it faster as well. All right. All right, Liz. Interesting. You got the trickster, my dear. I know your son's about to graduate. You might want to pay attention to that. Pay attention to those parties, my dear. No. So the trickster is that it's time for you to get real in your life. Sometimes we fool ourselves, like it's not that bad, or, and when we go into that space where we don't want to own things that aren't working, or things that we're kind of doing that are a little bit shady, maybe shadowy, maybe I'll use that word, when we're not in our integrity. How about that? So when we are stepping out of our integrity, or, things are just, we're pretending things don't exist, then they start to bite us on the fanny. So this is saying, own up to what's going on, own up to what shadowy thing is kind of popping up for you for now. And in that getting real, like, call in your friends and, have a sister powwow, and get that energy out and get it moving. And because the trickster energy is tough, because it'll come right back at you. Sometimes, we think we're outsmarting whatever, and oof, when it comes back to bite us, it's brutal. It needs plenty of stitches. So time to fess up and get real. And you'll feel a lot lighter and a lot more relaxed too. All right. Dinah, of course. Nice. You have the Forceful. I always think of Star Wars. May the Force be with you, because that is what it's talking about. You have all the true power that you have comes from spirit. We don't have to push and bully our way through things. When we tap into the force, when we tap into the universal energy field and fill ourselves up from there, there's no need to plow through things or plow through people. We call in our power inside of us. We don't need to have power over someone else. We need to have power in us. And that's when we're truly powerful, because we don't need to make anyone else feel small. We don't need to make anyone else feel like they're not enough for us to feel full. So call in your divine energy to fill you whenever you're feeling wobbly, so that you're not trying to bulldoze somebody else who's doesn't have a whole lot of energy either. Does that make sense? Fill in with the force. All right, Deborah. Of course, I am doing them tonight. So you have the lazy fool. I know this does not mean that you're lazy. You're probably everything but lazy. So the lazy fool comes in to basically say, relax and have confidence in yourself. When somebody appears, I have a relative who, feels like he's lazy sometimes. Well, I don't think he's lazy, but I have heard other people call him lazy. And it's really because he's in the flow. He's just moving along in the flow at the speed that he's meant to move along at. And other people are jealous of that, right? But he's confident in what he's doing and how he's doing it. So he doesn't care what anyone else thinks. So you don't have to be the person who gets the most stuff done to be seen as valuable. And I feel like this is connected to work. So instead, have confidence in the skills that you have. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone, especially yourself. You've got it. So now chill out about it. Because then when you have this more relaxed attitude, your stress level will go down, and it also will go down around you, because other people pick up that anxious energy, which maybe you're due go getting, but for some people that's a lot. So chill, be confident. You've got this. You don't have to work so hard. All right, Mike. All right. Well, one of the things, before I even show you the card, because your message says, I would please like a card. I need to hear something is going to happen that will restore my happiness. So the first thing that's coming in before I even show you the card is that you are in charge of your happiness, sweetie. There doesn't have to be something to happen. It's when we get comfortable with where we are right now. And even when that is hard to imagine, being happy where you are. When you can really grab onto that you create your own happiness, that you are a co-creator with the divine, a lot will begin to shift for you. And I said all that after I picked up the card and before I read it. So I want you to know that how that message worked. And so your card is the Faith Fool. And the card is saying, just have faith. Have faith in the divine, have faith in yourself, and know it's going to happen. But you get to make it happen. Don't wait for somebody else to create happiness for you. You've got it right inside of you. Just find those things that bring your inner child joy and start tapping into that, okay? I'm sending lots of love and healing to you. All right, Barbie. Of course. Ah, I love this one. The Careful. I love it because he's in this crazy tubby. And I don't know if you can see, but there's like a dog and a bird. It's like everybody's interrupting his tubby. But the Careful is, it's time for you to focus on your self-care. A bunch of people have been hearing that tonight. And so how do you take care of yourself? Or do you wait for other people to take care of you? Right? So this is saying you take care of you. If you need a tubby to relax, then do that. If you need to, go outside and go for a hike, do that. But whatever, only you can take care of you. So what are you going to do today and tomorrow and this week to take care of yourself. And I would invite you to make a list of at least one thing every day that you do just for you and not for anyone else. All right. Okay, Donna. All right, so you have the reclusive fool. And the reclusive fool is that sometimes we get overstimulated by our surroundings, by the world. Our nerves get frayed, our energy gets depleted, and sometimes we need to step back from everything and kind of go into a space of solitude for a little bit to kind of replenish and nourish ourselves. And it doesn't mean like, oh, become a hermit. It just means disconnect from energy for a little bit, for a few days at least. So I'm feeling like, turning off your computer, turning off the TV, turning off your phone, kind of taking an electronic, vacation for a couple days and just let everybody that you care about know that you're not going to answer your phone and you're not going to be responding because you need a timeout, and give yourself a break. And I would also encourage you to go out into nature and do that. And, I often will travel places where there's not good cell phone reception intentionally, because then nobody can call me and I don't feel pressured to take a call. If that makes sense, because you need to disconnect. Your nervous system is a little hyper at the moment. It's probably hard to sleep too, sweetie. All right, so Christine, let's start with you, and then I'll do Jack. So you have the wish fool. I used to do this when I was a little kid, that when the dandelions turn and you blow them and make wishes with them. So the wish fool is believe in your own wishes, because then they're your creations, right? They're your true heart's desires. And when you believe in them, nobody else has to. And that's when they come to fruition. That's when they become manifest. That's when you get what you want and you get what you desire. So don't be afraid to create some wishes, but make sure that you really believe it in your heart. Because when it's aligned with your heart, all things are possible. All right. And for Jack. So your card, Jack, is the deceit fool. And the deceit fool is listen to your own intuition. Because sometimes other people tell you what they want, what they want to say, rather than what your spirit is trying to tell you. And usually from a good place, usually because they're trying to be helpful, but they're telling you their version of the truth, which may not be yours. And the only one who can hear your intuition is you. So I also caution when this card comes up, be mindful that not everyone tells the truth. And so trust your intuition. If your little, I call it my BS detector. It kind of goes off and it's like ding, 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 ding. That I just know something isn't true. And it doesn't mean that they are, purposely lying or whatever. Sometimes it's the truth is uncomfortable, so they don't share the whole truth with you. So really, really check into your intuition, because you have a really nice, strong connection, and only you know what's best for you. All right, Brianne. Yes, yours is the respect fool. Aretha Franklin, sing it. So this is about for you, respect the natural flow of things, that things are going to happen in their own timing, that you can't force somebody to do something or be something sooner than they want to. Lots of times we can see what's going on and they're just not ready to face it. So respect other people's boundaries by allowing them to move through their flow at their pace so that you can move through your flow at your pace. And everything will happen in divine timing. We don't have to make things happen. We can just let them unfold as they're meant to. All right. Kimberly, of course. So you have the sentimental Fool. And the sentimental Fool is, be in the now. We can get really caught in the past, reminiscing and romanticizing the past and second guessing our choices. And it's like, this card is all about, it's wonderful to have these heartfelt sentiments, but create your life now, in the moment, because that's where the joy is, in the moment. The joy is not in the past. The joy is in the now. So to really feel that and experience it, you just be in creation mode and allow life to unfold the way it's meant to. I guess that's going to be the message for a little bit. Bunch of you at the moment. All right, Cindy Lynn. Be cheerful. The cheerful is like a little cheerleader. And it's like, be cheerful, be happy, be joyful. What can you do to do that? Does this sound familiar too? What makes your inner child happy? What makes you happy? What brings joy up in your heart? Is it playing music? Is it dancing? Is it jumping around? Whatever it is, spread cheer, spread joy. And the vibration around you will lift and clear because dense energy can't hold on if we're laughing. So sometimes we're the one to put on the funny movie and to crack jokes and be silly. But that lightens everybody's energy around us as well as our own. I guess it's time for some jokesters to come out. Liking that. All right, Brenda. Yours is the youthful. And the cool thing about the youthful is this is about being courageous. Live your life fearlessly. I'm hearing live out loud. So don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid to express who you are. Don't be afraid to share your opinions. Really let fear go, because that pulls you out of your joy. That pulls you out of love energy. And it really causes us to get stuck. So I feel like this inner courage getting activated for you so that you can kind of, be the big dog, and kind of march out there. But it's in a really gentle way. It's funny. It's, I think of the Cowardly Lion, right? Who actually was super brave, right? Because he still kept going. And I think of Piglet too, right? Because Piglet was this little tiny, animal, but he still went on all the adventures and conquered his fear over and over again, because he would do it for his friends, and he would do it for himself. So live your life fearlessly. We can all use that. All right. Judy. You have the drunken fool. Well, don't know how many cocktails you had tonight, dear. No, It can be about that. It actually can. But the energy around this card is sober up, which is, face life the way it really is. Sometimes we don't want to, it's kind of like, I think it was Liz's card where it was like, time to get real, time to really look truthfully at you, your life, your relationships, and notice where you may be kidding yourself. Maybe there are some places where there's some work that needs to be done. And, when we have, the drunken fool comes up often because there's like this addict energy. And even if there isn't an addict that you're dealing with, or it's that energy where, they don't always want to own their mistakes. They don't always want to own their stuff when they're in the shadow of the addict. They make excuses and they're not completely truthful. So this is time for you to get a sort of a breath of fresh air to like sober up quickly and start to see where things aren't gelling and where things aren't quite lining up, and start taking action on that. Okay. And just do the best you can to stay in your heart space. Because it's really easy to get like triggered when we start to have those realizations that things are not quite as they seem. Okay. And reach out for help if you need it. Okay, Shirley. No, not so late. You're right in time. So you have the Mercy Fool. I love this. So the Mercy Fool is about having mercy. And what that means is when we care about other people, when we are open-hearted with people who are struggling, when we are open-hearted with those around us who maybe need some love and support. And when we're being merciful, sometimes that means that there are people who are going to come up to you and say some very difficult things that you've got to deal with. But remember that forgiveness begins inside of you. So we don't have to forgive the actions of others, but we can forgive the person, at least to begin with, so that we can start to heal our end of it and to help share healing for the person on the other side who's struggling. And this feels connected to that addict energy too, where, people make mistakes. Do we beat them up with them, or do we give them space to change and shift them? So I'm inviting you to keep your heart open and have as much mercy as you can in those situations. All right. Joyce. Interesting the turn the cards have taken. The Truth Fool. So the Truth Fool is be honest. Be straightforward. Tell it like it is. Don't try to sugarcoat. There's times when we really try to be gentle and not hurt somebody else's feelings, but you do that to the best of your ability. But sometimes the truth just needs to be said, even if it's uncomfortable, because that's the only way to move through it, and it's the only way to heal. So there's something that you need to open your mouth about, and know that you're being supported by your team and by your angels and guides on just really moving back into a place where you're in your integrity. Because when we move away from our integrity, then we attract people who aren't truthful with us, and that is just not comfortable. So it's better to be in a space of telling the hard truth than attracting people who are deceitful with us. Does that make sense? So take a deep breath and get that truth out there, sweetie. All right. Ellen. So yours is the hopeful. So the hopeful is, allow yourself to be hopeful. Allow yourself to dream, about your future, about how things could be. When we get caught up in, oh, this is my life and this is how it's going, and we're trudging along, we're disconnected from our team. We're disconnected from source because we have nothing where we're trying to create something different. When we have hope and we can focus on how we would like life to be and how we would like life to unfold, then our team knows what to do and how to help us create that. So find some things to start dreaming and wishing for, and put them out there. And I would even put out a vision board or a wish list of things small and large that you would like to bring into your life, and just give space for your team to help that show up for you. All right, Mary. So yours is the fool's tax. And I know that one sounds tough. So the fool's tax is, we don't always learn lessons the easy way. But sometimes we just have to live and learn from our mistakes, and that's what the tax is. The tax is, the mistakes that we've accrued, and we're like, oops, all right, well, there's another mistake. Live and learn and move on. You accumulate tax when you keep replaying it, rechanging it, trying to make it change, trying to make it different. So don't accumulate more energetic debt. Just take the loss and move on. And there's a huge lesson in it. And when you're in a better space, you can figure it out, or you can really talk to your team and say, all right, I get it. It was a lesson, but could you show me what the gift was in the lesson, rather than how it taxed me and made it difficult for me. All right. Crystal. So yours is the helpful. And the helpful is telling you to ask for help. You're really good at helping others. But when we need help, we're not always so good about asking for it. Or we wait until the last minute, or we wait until we're overwhelmed to ask for help. When we're in over our head and feel like we're drowning, then we're like, can you bail me out? Right? But if you realize you're starting to get stretched a little too thin, and I think that happened probably a couple weeks ago, then it's time to start asking for help on little things that are easy to let go of, easy to allow somebody else to help you with. When somebody offers help, say yes. I'm going to say that again. When someone offers help, say yes. Don't assume they're doing it, the way you do, where you offer help and you don't really mean it sometimes. And then somebody's like, sure. And then next thing you know, you've committed yourself to too much. Just allow the fact that somebody else may offer your help because they can see that you're frazzled and you could use a hand, and take it. Say yes. And find something that you're comfortable letting them help with. All right, Rochelle. Yours is the soulful. And the soulful is a lot like the intuition cards that we've been having. It says, do what feels right for you. And if something doesn't feel right, then don't do it. And you don't have to analyze it. You don't have to explain it. Just don't do it. And when we choose from our heart and we choose, we trust our gut in what it's saying to us and explaining to us, then our life starts to flow with ease and grace again. And right now you're in this place where things aren't flowing too quickly and it feels very stuck. But at the moment, do what feels right for you. If that means you need to take a nap, take a nap. If that means that you need some time to visit friends, then visit friends. But do what feels nurturing and healing for you. It's not always a prescription that's going to make you feel better. All right, Natalie. The beauty fool. The beauty fool is reminding you that you are beautiful. You're filled with beauty. You are filled with exactly who you're meant to be. So treat yourself like that. Treat yourself like a wonderful artifact in a museum. How are you taking care of you? How are you treating yourself like a beautiful goddess that you are? Because how you treat yourself is how other people will treat you. So just really honor your inner beauty, which actually radiates out for others to feel and share. And you know what? Do things that make you feel beautiful. Like if you like to get dressed up, or you like to put on makeup or a little perfume or whatever, go do that. Because that will help you feel even more in touch with your inner beauty. All right. And Dennis, of course, you have the fear fool. And the fear fool is, we all have moments where we get nervous, we get fearful, or we wonder because we don't know what's going to happen. So we can go into fear. And this is saying, stop and laugh at your fears. Because our fears can take over. That ego brain can kind of get spinning and create all this crazy story. And the next thing we know, we're anxious, we're having a panic attack, and we're not even in the moment. But when we're in the moment and a fear comes up and you're like, oh, here you are again. Isn't that cute? You're trying to sidetrack me again, get me spinning off in that old direction. That's adorable. But I'm not going to do that with you right now. And kind of make a joke of it. And, it's not a bad thing to be able to laugh at yourself. Laugh when you make a mistake and let it go so that you're not punishing yourself with it. Because I feel like there's a lot of energy that comes down and talks down to you. That's from other people, but you do it to yourself. So it's time to start laughing at the bully and being like, I'm not scared of you. So you can just back up. All right. Think of David and Goliath. He could have frozen in his fear, or he could face his fears and do what was right. There you go. All right. So the final card is for Miss Neshi, because, she produces my show, and, I always let her be the end to the, and it's great. It's the forget fool, which is saying, let it go. Drop the freaking baggage, leave it on the side of the road. You don't need it. Keep going. Horse and carriage, leave the luggage behind, because it's not even yours to begin with, is what I'm getting. So forget it. Forget about it. Let it go. All right. So thank you guys for staying with us this evening. I hope you found some words of wisdom or some energy that really resonated for you. And again, if you really want to connect with doing some deeper work or really get out of your own way, please think about joining us at Star Nations Academy next weekend, because we're going to do an in-depth workshop to really awaken your soul's true potential. And I would love to help facilitate and guide you on your journey if you are ready. And with that, you guys, have a beautiful rest of your evening. And we will see you next week here at 7 on Soul Connections, and next Tuesday for chakra sessions at noon. I'm looking forward to another cool spiritual discussion. All right. Have a great night.